اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه وتعالى ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونثني عليه الخير ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الذي خلق الإنسان وعلمه البيان وزينه بالأكل وشرفه بالإيمان. نحمده تعالى أدبنا بالقرآن ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا حبيب الله مصطفى مرتضى محمد عبده ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح للأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده وتركنا على منهجة البيضاء على طريقة الوالية الجراء ليلها كنهارها لا يذيق عنها إلا هالك. اللهم فسلم وسلم وبارك على هذا النبي الكريم. Viewers at home, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. You are welcome to another edition of your dialing program, the Islamic Perspective, on your dialing TV, the Ummata Wasata television. Inshallah, today we shall build upon our earlier episodes. We started with an introduction, went forward to say why we have to uphold the Islamic perspective. Today, inshallah, we shall be discussing on how are we going to uphold the Islamic perspective. As in our tradition, we shall be looking at this topic from the prism of the glorious Quran, chapter 9, Surah Al-Tawbah, verse 119. But before I make a rendition of this verse, I want to welcome our regular guest on the program, Mala Aminu Jatu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Without much ado, let me go straight to the rendition of the verse of the day. Surah Al-Tawbah, chapter 9 of the glorious Quran, verse 119. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. صدق الله العظيم.
Meaning, O you who believe, fear Allah and be with those who are true in deeds and words.
That is the verse we are considering today. Madam, normally there are times that verses of the Quran are revealed for a particular reason, but for general use. Does this verse fall into that category?
The answer is that this verse is revealed for certain specific reason, but in application, it generally applies to all situations and everybody, particularly those of us who believe in Allah. And that's why Allah called us here that, O you who believe, you should fear Allah and be with those who are truthful in words. Well, the cause of the revelation was that when the Rasul was to go for the Tabuk expedition, some of the Sahabas divided into two camps. One group are the group of the Munafiqun, the hypocrites, who are known for telling lies. Because they wanted to find the cover up, they came to tell the Prophet lies while they were not able to participate in the Tabuk, to go along with the Rasul. There were three others who wanted to be truthful. They spoke their mind. They told the prophet exactly what happened to them. And the prophet frowned at them for their refusal to to have gone along with the Rasul and the other Sahabas for the expedition. Well, after the expression of the anger of the Rasul for their deeds, they were eventually pardoned, to cut the story short. But the Quran now come back to emphasize the fact that in all circumstances we should learn to be truthful. When we say the truth, eventually it will make us to be able to comply, to abide by the Islamic perspective, i.e., in this instance we are talking about, if they had spoken the truth, it would have made them not go along with the Munafiqun in the first place. They would have participated in the expedition. It means that in any event Muslims are going to partake in, they should be truthful about it, so that they will align with the Islamic perspective of that event.
From this verse, will you say that the Islamic perspective is not an individual thing? Will you want to expatiate on that?
Yes, as we have just said, the expedition the Rasul and the Sahabas went for, and generally in life, we do not make any achievement except collectively. And that is why in Islam, Jama'ah, which is the collective effort, is so emphasized in all acts of ibadah. Is it our salat? They have to be observed in Jama'ah. When we are fasting now, everybody is involved. Nobody is singled out. When we go to Hajj, we do that collectively with those who are performing the Hajj. If you continue to count all aspects of our life and of our ibadah, of worship, it is not. Islam has established that they should be done in a collective manner. That means, by extension, in any event, anything anybody seeks to achieve, to make any achievement in, the collective effort always yields the right result instead of the individual effort. So the verse is actually saying that if you are truthful, then it is very likely that you go along with the truthful ones, and that it is the presence of the others in that gathering that will make somebody to continue to toe the line of truthfulness. If you are segregated, if you are alone, if you separate yourself, the tendency for you to tell lie is very much there, because you will be seeing those who are foremost in doing those acts, and that will remind you the need for you to fall in line instead of stepping aside.
Now, when you were telling us the reason for the revelation of this verse, you said some of the companions of the prophet who it was revealed to warn those who did not follow the prophet to the Tabuk expedition, and they were truthful about their reason, that it was not because they lacked anything, but because of one thing or the other, and it was not because they do not believe in Allah and His Rasul. It means that in establishing the Islamic perspective, there could be Muslims could fall into errors, and when they fall into the errors, the leadership should treat them in a way.
Yes, it's a very good example of how to handle those who fall in error in a Jama'ah, in a group. First and foremost, generally as human beings, the tendency for us to fall in error is there because it's part of our nature as human beings. But there are about four things that have come to guide us. Today we are particular about one. What are those 5 things? human beings will definitely be in error if there has not been any divine revelation. So the first thing that guides us from error is religion, the deen. Second one is parenting. If one is unfortunate to have come up from parents that are not upright, the tendency is that that individual is likely to live a life of error most of the time. But if you are happy, if you are lucky to have come from in an upright family or parents, then the tendency again is that that person will be acting uprightly. Then the third one, which is our focus today, is the environment, the other people around you. And we have established now that for you to do righteous work, it is always preferred that you are in, it is done, you are participating in such thing along with others in a jama, in a group, instead of being individual. So when you are doing that, the tendency for others to influence you positively is there. So, and the fourth one, which I'll not bother myself much about today, is the means of livelihood. In all these four areas, there is the truthful side of it for those who are interested, and there is also the forceful side of it. So, it is when you are in the collective, when you are in a gathering of the righteous ones that you can, in fact, you can easily perform that, those ones that are positive about any aspect of life we are there to pursue. So the leadership, when it is identified that somebody makes mistake, like the example of the of the ayah, we should entrench in our followers the need to be truthful, because religion is based on truth. And when we discover that somebody is truthful, then we should learn to correct that person in order for the person not to relapse into error permanently, so that the person can come back to go along with others who are on the path of truth.
From the story you told us, although you did not mention it, it is said that they were punished. They were segregated for about 50 days.
Yes.
The three of them who were truthful were segregated from the other companions for 50 days. It was after 50 days that Allah sent down this verse and earlier verses.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. The 50 days of punitive measure, that is punishment, that was meted out to these three people who are
Malik and
Kab bin Malik and others, was the fact that after that, Allah wants us to appreciate that even though you fall in error, the need for you to remain truthful and not go into telling that is very, very important, and that is why it is the verse was revealed to set of exonerate them, that because they are truthful, they should be pardoned for their mistakes. Yes, that kind of punitive measure should also be put in place by the leadership to put any erring members of the Jama, to put them right when they are going wrong. And that is why specifically the Rasul has emphasized the need for us to be on the path of the truth. While he was talking about the importance of truth and the evil in telling lies, there is a hadith which I will just paraphrase here. He said, "Alaykum bisidik, fa inna sidika yahdi ila jannah ila bir, wa inna bira yahdi ila jannah." The second part of the hadith says, "Alaykum bi kazib, fa inna al-kaziba yahdi ila fujura, fa inna al-fujur yahdi ila nar." The meaning of this is that we are enjoined to always remain truthful, because truthfulness will lead us to righteousness, good deeds, and good deeds will lead us to attain paradise. While we are warned against telling lie, because telling lie will lead to sinning. But that when we sin, the tendency is that that sin will lead to hellfire. I want to be lying, exactly. May Allah save us from that. So because of this hadith is longer than this. The extension of it is that if you continue to tell the truth, it will come to a time when Allah will announce to his creatures, and that the Malaika should record the name of that person who is always dwelling in truthfulness, that his name is written among the truthful ones. While whoever is also telling lies, a time will come when it will be announced to the creatures of Allah, and the Malaika will be asked to document it that this person is a liar. And like the hadith has said, truthfulness leads to Jannah, while telling lie leads to hellfire. Allah save us from that.
This verse, as we have looked at it, it shows that, or it tells us from the Sabbath Nuzul, that even if we fall into error and we are even being punished, what should be the reaction of the person who is being punished?
Yes, it is supposed to be seen as a sign of being fortunate. If you are fortunate to be under an upright leadership who punish, and that in Islam, that is the recommended leadership style of Islam, that the righteous, the upright leadership should punish those who err, and those who are punished should be grateful for being punished. Because if you commit error here in this world and you are not punished for it, the punishment will be waiting for you in the hereafter. But if you are already cleared by being punished as stipulated in Sharia, then you will now be exempted from the punishment of the hereafter. So whoever realizes this will rather be grateful and thank the leadership for purifying him, and look at it as a form of purification. But punishment, according to Sharia, is supposed to be a form of purification for the sinner in this world, so that the person will be exempted from punishment in the hereafter. So I think the followers, the Muslims, should learn, if they have an upright leadership who executes punishment as stipulated by Sharia for any offense any of us have committed, that way is in a way of helping us, rather than to look at it as a way of something that is against us. It's not
destruction or punishment. Now, this verse that we are looking at from the prison, are looking at it by way of looking at the Islamic perspective. Would you say that it means that the Islamic perspective is universal?
Yes.
And that is why Allah is saying, even as individuals, as individual countries, individual states, or even individual persons, we should key into the universal truthfulness.
Yes, it is. Even if we are talking outside the legal provision, the Islamic legal provision, in all societies of the world, people know that when offense or crimes are committed and they are not punished, people, we are looking at it as the part of sin now is the part of falsehood, while the part of truth is the part of righteousness. That when people are committing sin and punishment is not meted out, that is why in so many human societies of the world, we say that when there is no punishment, then crime will continue to persist, and that people who misbehave in the society are doing so because there are no commensurate punishment for the offense and crimes that are committed. And everybody knows that once such is instituted against the offenders and the criminals, there wouldn't be any crimes in the society anymore. So at individual level, it is sin, and we have already mentioned that once you accept to part of punishment, part of a corrective measure of Islam is repentance. When somebody is made to leave the part of wrong to the part of right, which we call punishment, it is a way of purifying that person. So it is good for individuals, it is good for the society as a whole, that the God, the issue established by this verse is a universal principle. Even before you begin to look at it from the religious point of view, it is known in all societies that offenders and criminals should be punished. If not, the society will never know what we call decency, not to talk of peaceful living.
Looking at this verse too, and talking about Islamic perspective, is talking about forming alliance to be able to achieve the Islamic perspective. And that is why Allah is saying, fear Allah and join hands with the truthful
ones. Yes, it is forming alliance. Even when people want to do evil, they form alliance. So the Quran is making us to be very clear of the fact that what we call Islamic perspective is that we leave the wrong thing for the right thing. And in the process of doing it, it is not only done individually, but done collectively. So the principle of forming alliance with those who are right, who are doing the right thing, is a well enshrined principle in the Quran based on this verse and so many other verses that come in this fashion.
The Islamic perspective, apart from joining hands and looking for like minds, what other modes, what are the other things that can assist in making the Islamic perspective thrive, especially in our contemporary society?
It is that, you see, like I have said, those who do evil also
form
alliance. And aside from the fact that we must form alliance, that is why when we talk about problem in the society, people will continue to say, who will bend the cat? The meaning of that is that who is going to lead the struggle to bring about a revival or a change, a positive change in the society. That means in Islam, the other measure to it, if people have not attained the level of forming alliance for the right party to fight the wrong party, it is that we should start by admonition. This kind of admonition, when people hear of it, in fact, most of the people who talk about the corrective measure of things that are wrong in the society in various news media emphasize the fact that after a long preaching of the right thing to be done, the best way is to seek where those who are like minds that are making such effort towards that achievement are, so that one can join hands with them for the eventual achievement of the goal. So the way to it in Islam is through preaching and collective one, for that matter, not individual. Because if you leave it to individual will just, the idea will just die within every individual. It will not come in form of policy, not to talk of in form of law that will eventually take control of the society.
What you're saying that is that talking of the use of the social media, which a lot of people believe is full of crime and criminality, that the believers should also avail themselves the opportunity of the mass media by not keeping quiet, by also saying their own views, so that the like minds can be collected. I think that is what you are.
Yes. The era in which we are is the era of enlightenment. If the people of evil are spreading their own evil via mass media and social media, what should stop the righteous ones too from using that same media to preach the right thing to the people, so that people will get to know that this is wrong, this is right, this is lie, this is true. And once that is promoted promoted effectively, then we are likely to have a very good result. And the result is going to favor both those who are right and those who are wrong. And that is more reason why Muslims should not keep silent, but the righteous ones should not keep silent, because we must not allow the evil doers to prevail and overshadow the affairs of human beings in the society. So it is as good as if those who are doing evil are using a particular media which people listen to them, it becomes very, very necessary for those who are on the path of truth to also come out to express their own opinion.
Brothers and sisters, viewers at home, the message today is the Islamic perspective is inevitable if we must remain Muslims, and that the Islamic perspectives can only be achieved when Muslims do not keep quiet. When Muslims also talk about it, every opportunity they have, they should say it. They should let people see the perspective of Islam on everything, and that is the crust of this program. And by not keeping quiet, like minds can be collected and they can come together in line with the verse we have looked at today, that believers should fear Allah. They should not stop at fearing Allah alone. They should join hands with like minds who are truthful. So let us remain truthful so that we can achieve and attain the Islamic perspective, and we shall meet our Lord in happiness in the hereafter. Until we meet in our next edition, I remain your host, Muhammad Raji, saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.